Hello. So me and Piper, before nap today, right after lunch, we made our own clay. So pretty much it's a salt dough. So there's all kinds of recipes online. I've tried several different ones. The one I followed today is 3/4 cup of water, which it said warm water, and I didn't follow those directions. And then 3/4 cup of salt, and then 2 cups of flour, and then you just mix, and you get a really nice clay. I didn't have to add any more water or any more flour. It wasn't too sticky or anything. So this gave us a great amount to play with. Piper, I gave her unicorn and rainbow cookie cutters, and she just cut out as many as she wanted. And then I think we're gonna make a mobile out of it. I poked out some holes, so we'll see. So I wanted to show you some other things that you can do with salt dough or clay. So the first thing I wanna show you is a lollipop. So that's something super fun and easy. If you have modeling clay at home, or you have air dry clay, good for you, air dry clay, or Model Magic. A friend sent me a link yesterday that Model Magic was on like super clearance on Amazon. Again, probably not an essential item, so I don't know how fast you get it, but you could get a whole box for I think $17. Anywho, so you're gonna take a little bit of clay, you don't need a lot, and you're going to make a coil. So a coil is just a clay snake. So just kind of wiggle it around. I always tell kids that you become like a pretzel maker when you're gonna roll out a coil. So what I had Piper work on, this is when school closed, I sanitized and cleaned her backpack and emptied everything out. And this is the folder that I sent to school when it just came back and forth with her. So anyways, you're gonna make a coil. So work on something that's not gonna stick to your table, because it will stick. Let's see if I can stabilize my folder a little bit. So I always tell the kids, like, as you start, you roll and you spread out your fingers. So a good rule is it to be about the thickness of a marker. I always tell them, like, it cannot be thinner than your pinky. If it becomes thinner than your pinky, then you're in trouble. So this is my coil that I have, right? And we're just gonna roll it up. So I usually talk about spirals when we do these little lollipops, and where we see them in nature and on snail shells. In fact, we'll do a snail here in a little bit too. Okay, so what I like about this clay is, or salt dough, is it's super manipulative. And if you mess up, it's not a big deal, because you didn't use a whole lot of expensive materials. And if you mess it up, you just squish it back up and try again. So it's okay too, if you have younger artists and that's all they want to do is they want to make something and squish it back up, don't fret about that. I just put mine in a gallon bag, and I usually keep it for a few days before mixing it up again with my hands and make sure nothing funky is growing. So you can keep it for a little while or make a new batch. So once it's like this, you're gonna take a popsicle stick, and if you don't have popsicle sticks but you have popsicles, next time your kid eats a popsicle, throw it in the sink and then just hand wash it and let it air dry, flip it over since wood is porous, and then you have a reused popsicle stick. So you're gonna choose where you want it, and I set my hand on top, and you're just gonna kind of wiggle it in. So I always tell the kids, like, don't be too forceful, because then your spiral will squish, okay? And so then, look how cute that is. So the magic of this at this point is you're gonna let this dry. This can just sit out, honestly, on a cookie sheet. Here, I'm gonna show you the craziness of supplies I have ready to go. You can just put it on a cookie sheet, you could put it on a paper plate, you could put this on the sidewalk to dry. What you're going to wanna do though, at some point, let's say you let this sit on the counter on a plate overnight, in the morning, flip it over, you know, while you're drinking your 3 cups of coffee. And then maybe wait a couple hours, make sure this side dries too, and then it is ready to paint. They could color this with markers, with Sharpies if you don't have paint, or any other paint to work, okay? So I'm gonna set that guy to the side. And while we're on spiral moves, let's make a snail. So same kind of action, you have a ball of clay. start your coil, and you're gonna rock back and forth. Gotta keep my folder from moving. I didn't realize Piper was spoiled earlier and I was holding the mat for her. All right, so I have my coil, and same thing. I'm gonna roll this guy up, and instead of rolling him all the way up, I'm gonna use this, here, I'll tip it to the side, for the head. So in clay, as long as you know how to make a coil, you can mold or squish and pull clay, or make a slab, which is like a pancake. You can make anything. You don't need any other special techniques other than that to make something out of clay. So at this point, I have my little snail. So I molded or pulled, squished the clay to make its little tail. And I have the coil for the shell, and I have a little head. So maybe at this point, I can push and pull and make some little antennas. Maybe you have some pipe cleaner and you want to cut it and make little antennas. You could do all kinds of things. So again, at this point, I would let this guy dry, and then I would paint it, and then I would put some sort of sealer like Mod Podge or polyurethane, and then I would let Piper put this in like our little garden or on our porch, so it could live outside. So there's so many things you can do with that. That is our lollipop, so our spiral, and a cute little snail.